the Zoe life, not walking in what God has promised you. And so, as I begin to teach this and I begin to think about the open windows, prove me now, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour you out blessing. And so, there's a spiritual law in that thing. From God, He says to you, open the windows of heaven. And so as I begin to look and I begin to think about when you wake up in the morning. At night, most of us probably close our blinds. In the morning we get up, we open our blinds, and we open the blinds for the light to come in. We open the blinds for us to be able to see out of. But windows allow light to come into dark situation. It gives us a view outside of your circumstances. And so you may be able to see what is happening within your circumstance. But when you step to the window, when somebody just knocked at my door, I have windows on the side of my door. So before I opened my door, I was able to see and view who was on the other side of my door. So it allowed me to see who was already here before I ever opened the door. And so the window gives you a view of what is outside of your situation. And so with a window, you get a much clearer view, understanding that can change your life. But the window allowed me to immediately see who's out there. When you're at the beach, you want to be on the beachfront. Nobody wants to be on the beachfront and don't have sliding glass door, don't have windows, because there's no need. You can't see the beautiful water. Or if you're at the mountain, you want to see the view or the stream or the forest. But when you have a window, you realize that there are endless possibilities and opportunities that are before you. Opportunities that other people may pass every day. Options that other people never get to consider. And I told them yesterday, I said, God has given us promises. And He's given us windows that other people will never get a chance to see. But I like in Matthew 15:14, He said, let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, they both shall fall in a ditch. And here he was talking about preachers. He was talking about religious leaders. He was talking about people that said they know Jesus and was teaching the word. But they could not see what was in the people. And that's what I've been asking the Lord. Allow me to see what's in all those that are attached to me. Because God has so much more for you, and God has so much more for me. And so these people were teaching the word, but they themselves had no ability. They were blinded to the fact of what God had promised. They were blinded to the capacity. Good morning, Veronica. They were blinded to the vastness of what God was willing to give. But why did they fall in a ditch? Because there was no vision. And without a vision, people perish. And they had especially no spiritual vision. And so I'm asking you this morning, what is your vision? What's your plan? What you doing? And see, when Malachi 3 and 10, what he was saying was, I'm going to show you something that's going to keep you from falling in a ditch. And I believe as a leader, I believe as a minister of the gospel, I believe that as someone that's being called by God, it's my job. It is my call to open your mind to dream. I believe that as leaders, we are called into places and things to help people dream and see things that they would not have otherwise saw. I believe that as a leader, as a visionary, it is my job to help you cast a vision of what you dream. And if your vision, is blurred, you might not ever be able to see and realize what God has called you to. And so my prayer is that I'm helping you to clean the window. I'm helping you to be able to see what's on the outside. I was telling them some years ago, we did Dave Ramsey, financial series at our church, and I was so stuck financially. I was preaching, I was teaching, but financially, with saving, my credit was okay, but financially, I couldn't save for nothing. And every time an emergency came, I didn't have an egg to fall back on. And I remember sitting in that room, and I remember saying, this is over. I will not continue to live this way. As he began to teach, and he began to show you ways to get debt paid off and to be free. And I remember going into class, and we had to buy the book. And the book was like $99. And it was more than I had, more than I needed to be spending at that time. But I knew I needed help. And it was a 4-week series, and by the 4th week, you were supposed to have saved. Well, our goal was by the 4th week, you would still have $1,000 saved. So that meant that I needed to save $250 a week between my husband and myself. And I couldn't see it. I couldn't even have $200 saved. You want me to have $1,000 saved? But y'all, somehow, because I began to see out of the window, and I began to see on the other side, and through his teaching and through the leader that was teaching it at our church, I began to see out of that window, and I began to see further. I didn't get any new money. I was making the same money. My husband was making the same money. Now, we may have been blessed in some other ways in that time, and we were able to save whatever came in. But what happened was light was shedded on what I already had. And I was able to see not going out for lunch. I was able to not go out Sunday. And we decided on Sunday we would do potlucks together and eat. And there were some changes. But I remember sitting in that sanctuary with about 15 people listening to all of our downfalls and successes. And I had a eureka moment. And not because of, something had changed. It was still the same. But because light had came in on my situation. Somebody had taught me that I was in a ditch. And I was blind, and I was trying to lead people. And if I kept trying to lead people in a way that I was blinded in, they were going to fall in a ditch. And the Lord was saying that I have to free you before you can free others. There's no way you can get out of your chains or your cuffs when they're locked. There's no way you can get somebody else out. If my arms are bound behind my back, how am I going to get Shatiti's arm from my? We're both bound. And so somehow you're going to have to get the key to unlock your cuffs. And so now that you have the key, you can go around unlocking other people's chains and cuffs, and yokes are being destroyed. But I remember sitting in that room, and I said, I'm missing this in ministry. I'm missing this in business. I'm missing this in my family life. So I sat there with an open heart and understanding, because somebody was leading me out of a ditch. Somebody was saying, you can have money saved. And from that day to this day, I save every week. It just like my tithes, it comes out before anything else comes out. Because I realize if money, let me say this, if money has you bound, especially as a leader, you'll find yourself doing things for money. You'll find yourself trying to create ways to get money. And I say all the time as a preacher, I don't ever want to create anything for money. He said that he will open the windows of heaven and pour me out a blessing that I do not have room enough to receive. And so I will never have to manipulate people. I would never have to have workshops, seminars, conferences, oil, water, handkerchief, none of that stuff to get what God promised me. I will freely give the word. And I will only charge if there's that I got to pay for something, such as a building or a book printing or whatever. And that's because that whole money had on me don't have it on me anymore. God said, I set you free, because I truly believe that God wouldn't have allowed me to be doing this if I was still bound by the lack of money. Because it's too easy to get manipulated. I've watched friends that started doing lives and prophetic moves and things, and at first it started very clear and very pure. And then they started adding their Cash App and PayPal, and it got tainted. And I never want that for me. I don't want that for them either, but that's not on me. And so that is what I'm saying to you this morning. And so as I bring this to a close, I got about 2 minutes. But sometimes people fall in a ditch. And being said that about finances, this Wednesday, we have a financial teaching, and it is for couples, but the principles are the principles, right? And it's on our church Facebook page, and I'll share it to my Facebook page, and it will be on Zoom as well. But we have a couple that's coming on, and I've watched this couple. They have 4 kids. I watched them. I watched them save 80, 90,000. I watched them sacrifice. I watched her being a stay-at-home mom and then getting a job working from home, but only for her to save everything because they learned to live on one income. I watched them just build over $500,000 house. I watched them sow $20,000, $30,000 in the kingdom like it's nothing. I watched them go from not being able to get approved from a home with credit that was not good. I watched them sacrifice and say, I'm walking away from a job and I'm going to take care of my kids and I'm going to figure this thing out. I watched the oil of God that's on their life. And so if you want to learn how to save, how to come out of a rut, how somebody that was in a ditch and in a hole, join us on Wednesday for Elder Benny and Elder Amber. I watched her coupon. I watched her find free events for her kids. I just watched her life. And she got the oil when it comes to finances. And so on Wednesday, our church will be hosting a financial workshop during our Bible study. No fee. No fee. Okay. And I'm not sure if she still does it, but she used to for a small fee, she used to do things and help people get their finances and stuff in order. I'm not sure if she's doing it anymore, but I went through her sessions with her, and it blessed my life. So I say that to you, that if you find yourself in a rut and you're in a hole financially, you make good money, but you go in your pocket and it like you got holes in your pocket. This may be for you, and you're invited to come. So if you find yourself blind and you find yourself where the windows are shut up and you need the heavenly windows to be open in your life, you need light, you need vision, you need perspective, you need insight. This is the moment to walk by faith and not by sight. Hey, Stacy. And so I just challenge you all this morning. I am done. I'm going to pray. But it's time to, I've said this to you all for a year and a half, and there's no other way I know how to say it. Room enough to receive. Talking about space, area, capacity. God is not promising you just quantity. He's promising to bless you in every area of your life. Your marriage, your home, your relationship with family members, children, your job. Those that you work will be blessed because you work with them. Those that you do business will be blessed because you do business with them. Those that you buy from, those that buy from you, your church, the areas of ministry that you're involved in. He'll even expand your time and your availability to serve other people. He'll bless you in ways that you never imagined, with things that you never thought was possible, in ways you never seen other people get blessed. And I celebrate when people get blessed, y'all. I'm just like, thank you, Lord. Like, I love to see people get blessed. Some people, some people. I was, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they was like, I hate when people post when they get something on Facebook, and that each his own. Some brag, some talking about the testimonies of God. When I saw Amber post her house, well, she wouldn't post her husband. I know where they came from. When I saw my bishop post his house, I know where they came from. When I saw Jeannie and Stan post their new, we got 4 people moving in the neighborhood. All of them got new homes. Celebrate, Lord, but I'm still sitting here in this house. I've been in 23 years, and I'm still celebrating God, and not even desiring to move or anything. But I celebrate what God is doing in your life, because that's what He has for you. That's the capacity. That's the area. That's the expansion. That's for you. It's not. It may not be for me, and it's okay. Why? Because there's still a roof up there. I still got a bed down the hall. There's still whatever. And so when people post and they celebrate, I'm celebrating God. Look at God. When people are posting, you better know where God brought them from. And you better know that there's some people looking and saying, if God did it for them, God can do it for me, if that's what God has for me. And so for me, I don't take it as boasting, because now if they're saying, look what I did, that's one thing. But when they say, look what God did, this is what God did for me. When you see somebody that's living in an apartment that's too small for them and their family, and you see them where they got extra bedrooms and extra space, you better know that it was God. When you see somebody to go from no job, to moving and you got more than enough to go in the new space that God has, you better celebrate them. You better tell God thank you for Bessie's blessing. You better tell God thank you for Stacy's blessing. You better. My cousin Stacy was blessed with a gift from her husband a few weeks ago, and and she wouldn't probably never say it, but her husband blessed her with a nice new Mercedes. Girl, I'm celebrating you, because why? God blessed you. The windows were open for you. Expansion in your area. Eyes open. I'm just saying, it's stuff, but stuff don't really, people say, well, stuff, no, it doesn't. But let me tell you something else, though. God is saying that people often look at your blessing and they see the hand of God upon you. But they not only look at the material stuff. I don't look at her material stuff. I look at her life. I look at the God that they serve. I look at the Spirit of God that's upon them. So, yeah, the world get blessed. I get that. And people say all the time, and that's fine. But here it is. When you see the kingdom blessed, when you see the blessings of heaven being, it says the blessing of God making us rich and add no sorrow. So there's no sorrow with it. And so when you see God moving, when you see what God is doing for His people, because you know that they're sowing, you know that they're giving, you know that they're praying, you know that they're worshiping, you know that they're helping others. There's nothing else God can do but pour out the blessing. There is nothing that God can do but giving new opportunities. There is nothing that God can do, because his word says that I will open the windows of heaven and I will pour you out a blessing that you do not have room enough to receive. So God has to do it. And I know where y'all came from. Yes, but God. So people better start celebrating what God is doing in the lives of people. Whether it's blessing them with a new job, whether it's saving their children, whether it's healing their marriage, whether it's catapulting them in ministry, whether it's having them to pray out loud, and whatever it is, when you know where they have come from, you're able to celebrate what God is doing in their life. Others, listen, when you were lost and when you didn't have nothing, other people could see it. And there were people that laughed at some of us and said, "Ooh, she hoping for this." And I remember doing a vision board and people saw it and they were like, whatever. But here it is. But with the lack of vision, people perish. But because I could see where I was going, because God could see where I desired to go, God could do it. And so right now, some of y'all got vision that others can't see what you see. But you see it because God has promised it. And heavenly understanding has been open unto you. And it amazes me sometimes how some people can't see what is right in front of them. But it's because they're letting God open the windows of heaven to them. So allow God to open it for you. I don't care where you live. I don't care what your address is. I don't care about none of that. God is a God of everywhere. And so I say that to you. I thank God for you. I hope that I pushed you to dream bigger, believe more, trust God to do what he promised in your life. And remain focused on the call. He says,